Our next speaker is Louella Phillips. And Louella is a longtime resident of Mulberry, Florida, where several gypstacks are located. She lives near the Mosaic Fertilizer New Wales South gypstack at the site of the 2016 sinkhole. So the floor is yours, Louella.
Hey guys, how are you? Can you guys hear me? Yeah. My connection's been going in and out this whole time. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but my name is Louella Phillips, and I live in Mulberry, Florida. I'm the administrator of and founder of Florida 67 EWAU, and like I say, I'm actually in the center of the gypstacks, and I'm 3.7 miles from the Mosaic sinkhole, and as the crow flies, I'm probably maybe 4 or 5 miles from the Bartow Stack. And then I have the Hooker's Prairie Stack as the crow flies less than 1.5 miles on my south side, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, Rachel has a couple of slides I want to show you. On this one right here, we have an aerial view of the Mosaic sinkhole in 2016 when it occurred, and the picture next to it is the other cell, the other gypstack that was active at the time. And after the sinkhole occurred, they were taking phosphogypsum from those two active stacks and bringing them to the Bartow Stack. And I think I have a couple of slides if Rachel wants to go to the next one. Okay, this is photographs probably 2 or 3 weeks after the sinkhole occurred. When it first happened, our water had changed to a dark brown, rusty type color water. It had large chunks of brown, mushy rock in it, and I wasn't aware of what was going on. And over the next few weeks, my water had changed and things like that, and discoloration and sediments and different sediments and stuff. I never took the photographs until after we found out there was an actual sinkhole. In the top left corner, these little black things that you can see on here, those were hard gray rocks that we had found in our water. And I know this is a picture of a toilet, but that's actually what color our water had turned. And we had beautiful, pristine, tasteful water before the sinkhole occurred. The one next to it is my feet in the bathtub, showing the turbidity in the water and how cloudy it was. And if we could go on to the next one. Okay, these are just comparisons. The top left corner is the Alafai River at the South Fork Prong in Bradley. This is the everyday color of the water, that yellow up there. And the bottle of water is the water that I got from my faucet, and it literally had clumps of algae in the water. And if you leave the water in the bottle for 2 or 3 weeks, the algae will get bigger and bigger. I actually gave a gallon of that to the DEP so they could have it tested, but I never heard anything back. Go figure. But either way, we can go to that's what we were expecting to be drinking. So, okay, the top left corner again is the turbidity as it got worse. The right side is an actual photograph of the video from when the news came out to the house. I showed him a glass of water. When you held the water up in the light, you could see these tiny little white specks that look like bubbles. And actually what those were, if you were to leave them like in the bathtub, when the tub drained, they would melt like in the bathtub, and you literally have to scrape them off the bottom of the tub. They were real hard, almost like silicone. And that was in June of 2018. My water was still having issues sometimes, but okay, the next slide. Okay, this is my mother's hands. The left photograph, you can see the swelling in her hands in the center of it. And on the top of her hands, they literally turned blue. She was still using the water a few weeks after they announced the sinkhole, and I asked her not to, but she grew up here in this house. She really didn't think anything was wrong with it, but it would turn her hands blue and they would swell up. But like I say, my mom's old school. In this area here, we're a mining culture. We're not a mining town. We're a culture, and my mother's in her 70s, and she did not want to believe that the phosphate industry could actually affect your health. But either way, we go on to the next ones. She's better, by the way, with that. She's a lot better with that. She doesn't use the water to bathe in. So if we could go to the next slide. This is a rash that my youngest daughter got on her legs a couple of days after they announced the sinkhole. She wanted to take a bath, and I wouldn't let her because we were getting water from Mosaic. And in order to get the water from Mosaic, I literally had to call 2 news stations and have them call Mosaic and ask her to bring me water. And at one point, Mosaic was bringing me so much water that they stopped bringing it, and they sent me a letter saying that I was using too much. And I feel like if I can't drink the water, and I have 3 kids, if I can't drink it, why should I bathe them in it? So I was using a lot of water, and my little girl didn't happen to listen that day, and she snuck in there and rinsed her legs off in the water without taking a bath with the water that they were bringing, and this is what happened to her legs. It healed up in a couple of days, and some medicine that I put on there. If we could go on to the next slide. She was 6 at the time, by the way. Okay, this is a statement that I made on Facebook, and I was basically thanking the news media because they did a respectful broadcast, and they had contacted, like I said, they contacted Mosaic because Mosaic wasn't making people aware that they were bringing water or that people in the neighborhood could water. They didn't want to bring it, and we played heck getting it. And, they finally did start bringing it to a few of us. I mean, the numbers went from 44 when I first started getting it from them up to over, I think it was 4,000 or something, which they pretty much cut off. I'm within the 4-mile radius of receiving the water, but they were still supposed to be checking our water. And at the bottom is just a statement that I made in February of 2017 saying that I had to take my daughter to the doctor to have her blood checked for lead poisoning because she was showing the signs. And if you know anything about lead poisoning, you can't get a lead poisoning test just by urinalysis test or something like that. Blood test, if you miss a day of drinking the toxin, you literally have to have a liver biopsy or something like that. So that was something that was really hard for us to go through with the kids. If we could go on to the next slide. By the way, my children haven't drank the water since 2016. We're still on bottled water. We buy our own. Okay, this is an insert from Facebook again, because I do a lot of Facebook posting. And this is when the kids came home with a note from the school, and they had posted signs at the school saying that they could not drink the water because they had some sort of contamination. The day before they sent the notes home, I had seen the city taking a hydrant and releasing the water, and the water was black, literally black. And that water was coming from one of the outfalls that flowed from the Alafai River from one of the stacks. And so the kids couldn't drink the water in school for a couple of days. The school was supposed to provide it, but they didn't. They provided, the janitors and the teachers provided water for the kids to drink. And they did put up signs all over Mulberry, the health department, stuff like that, saying they couldn't drink the water. This was when I was a little bit angry. The next insert is because the company that came out and checked our water is ECT, and ECT came out with a DEP to check our water. And my problem was before the DEP came out, which they didn't usually come out with them, you had to request that the DEP comes out. ECT it's a financial company. They're not water testers. They're not licensed people to come out and check my water. They're a company who tells Mosaic, the phosphate company, how to save money. And they were the ones who were actually in charge of coming out and checking our water, which I thought was a little, it was aggravating, to say the least. And I made that post. And if we can go on to the next one. This is the Mosaic Stack last year. This was taken off, this photograph was taken from Highway 37 about a mile south of Bradley Junction, because they keep these stacks pretty much camouflaged. You can only see an area. And we're quite a ways from that stack. And the area before the stack, behind the palm trees there, that area was owned by someone who's buying a lot of land around here. And he's actually made an agreement with the phosphate company to lease that land so they can extend the acreage of that stack. So it's going to be, and they actually put a solar field right next to that. So, but the stacks are huge. And when they're running out of places to put them, they just keep adding on and adding on. So if we could go on to the next stack, or next picture. Okay, this photograph was taken. I was at a park in Bartow. Yeah, that one right there. That is the Bartow Stack, and that's last year. That's drone footage, and I'm quite a ways from it, but you can see the enormous size of it at that point. There, at this point, it might be a little over 200 feet, but I know that in June of 2016, when the Mosaic sinkhole occurred, and they were transporting gypsum to the Bartow Stack as another place to put it, and we're going to get mine. That stack was over. It was permitted for 400 feet in height, and it was 480 feet at that point. I'm sure they've spread it out since then, but it's growing in size. It was over 500 acres at one point. And this is my backyard. I'm actually on the, if you're looking at that photograph there, I'm probably 3 or 4 miles from that stack to the left there. So, okay, the next slide.